My name is Francisco Jose. I'm from the community of San Pedro, Tucutag District. And I was asked the question what I think of the hearing just from the small amounts of information that I heard personally, and is that I haven't heard anything that has any substance. Maybe that's coming later, or maybe there's more to this, but so far I haven't heard anything that can be accusatory or able to prove. Some of the accusations are, I think, at this time unfounded, just hearsay, uh, maybe a little personal prejudice, but that's just on the surface. I haven't heard anything. I don't believe up to this time that there's anything to that you can charge them with, other than possibly they're disorganized, but that might be understandable. It's a fairly new district, and there's going to be growing pains. There's going to be things that are going to come clear as time goes on how to organize. And there has to be the communication system set up with the people. A lot of the people within that district live far and near, and at this time not probably readily available for quick meetings. So it's gonna take some time to organize, but at this time, I believe from the questioning, the few questions that came from the council this morning, I believe that there's some indication that they understand that, because those questions were pointed in the sense that, did you, for instance, one said, did you actually witness this, or how do you make that charge based on, or what do you do, why do you make that charge, because what is it based on? That was the question that was given, and the answer was very vague and almost didn't answer it. There was nothing in response specifically to anything. So I, at this point in time, just from observing all of this and listening to all of this, so far I as an individual, I don't see how you can charge these people at this point in time with any crime, unless maybe there's other things that haven't been brought out. So that's the way I have observed it. So that's all I have to say about that at this point. Maybe it's going to change in the next couple of hours, maybe next day, but that's it.
Now, the majority of the community is from the community of Ajo, which you grew up in. What do you know about their struggle to gain district status?
It's been a long struggle. They're entitled. I've always said that. I've never denied it. Anyone that's ever been spent time in Ajo, a lot of people have. Some lasted a few years, some lasted longer. And we all understood where these people came from. We understood how they came to be there. We knew that from. I grew up there as a young boy, and through my youth, I've learned that. It's a well-known fact from everybody that come from out here, that worked there or grew there, understood the Hatchet Altnum, that they were people from the area. I mean, there are people. They had a company store there where everybody went to shop, and on that spot where the company store stands, people were born there. Some of the Hatchet Altnum that have passed on were born on that spot where that store was at. So you can imagine they've been there a long time, even before my dad happened to go there to begin working, before a lot of people. There's just a lot of history, and if you go to Ajo, I think some of the people have gathered that information up. But we've growing up there, we've all understood this. We understand that the people there have actually totally survived off of the reservation. They've never been on a reservation. So in their survival, they've had to deal with all kinds of stuff, all kinds of abuse, prejudice. So they have a lot of history, and their lives were pretty much more difficult than ours, I think. So they're very strong people. They're very proud people, but the situation is this: that they were fractioned out. To survive, a lot of those people moved on to other areas, Los Angeles, Phoenix, some of the metropolitan areas, to survive, to work, to deal with life, because they never actually had a home. They knew where their home was, but it wasn't established until now. So they're far apart. They're a people, but it's going to be difficult. And in these beginning years, to get them together because of that. They're all fractioned. So that's what I think.
Have you kept in contact lately with anybody of the people you're talking about that are, what's their opinion of their district council or community?
I really haven't talked to them about it. I greet them. There are a lot of friends of mine, people that I grew up with the same age, I went to school with. I know the older siblings, the older brothers and sisters. I know the parents that have passed on. I know that some of the children, I still talk to them. I know where they came from. I know a little bit of their history. So I don't talk to them about their government because I realize that it's a difficult thing to do, that they're doing, to start out now to try to gather their people. So
you moved from Ajo back to the reservation. How difficult was, or how easy was it for you to get involved in your community?
it wasn't easy. It's not an easy thing because all my life, whenever I came here, I grew up in my early life as a very young boy in the community of Big Fields, which was my father's community, Nordic and Big Fields. And it's hard to be accepted because at that point in time I was considered an outsider, and I still am today. When people want to get angry, they still say that to me. It was difficult because the acceptance of being who you are, it's not your fault, But it is difficult to adjust to reservation life because things you've learned growing up on the outside it's the real life. It's the real life, and you deal with every race of people, the feelings of the different race of people, and there you have to survive. You have to accomplish, meaning you have to have a job. You have to buy things. You have to pay for things. You have to pay for rent. You have to buy a house. All this is you have to pay for it. Nobody pays for it for you. You pay for it. And to come out here, to be given stuff, that's kind of a new thing for us coming out here, because most of my brothers and sisters have gone to college. They haven't all finished. They've all had jobs while they were out here because we were taught to work, to survive. And so we notice that people around us, even some, even some of our children now they're not working. They're staying home. They weren't. We didn't. I believe that we didn't teach them those value systems, the ones that were given to us. So they haven't learned that you need to do those things to survive on your own. So they're still around. A lot of my nieces, nephews, grandchildren, they're doing the same thing. So, it's hard to be accepted out here, even back then. I don't know if that's that difficult now when you come out here, because I seem to look around and there's all kinds of people living out here. I don't know how many of them have actually grown up out here, but they're here. They're here. And I guess I worry about our people, because every young person I see out here seem to want to be somebody else. They don't want to be Otto. They want to be somebody else. Yet growing up on the outside, all I wanted to be was an Otto. And I think that was more pride in that than what it is now. Our young people don't seem to have a pride of being Otto, being Native American even. So that's, it was difficult adjusting.
So what do you think the tribe, maybe the youth themselves, the communities, the families, the nation should do to promote success for our nation?
I've thought of that for a long time, because I have and I'm not just holding my family up as an example, but I'm saying that I had to study why members of my family, the children, the grandchildren, some are not successful and some are. So I looked at the ones that are successful and I wonder why. So I looked at that, and what I came up with, and it's my own opinion, because I always criticize the educational systems out here. And I began to realize that that's not totally true. Maybe a small part, but that's not totally true. What it takes for a young person that's going to school out here, it takes a lot of nurturing. That goes back to what I said about the value system. If someone has a child, they have to be part of their lives, meaning involved in their school. When they come home, you need to nurture them. You need to tell them they're doing a good thing, they're doing a bad thing. And I've seen these people, they go to school, they've graduated from us, and they're successful. And in my opinion, it's the nurturing that enhances their success, their ability to deal with these things. It seems to me that when they're given the care and the nurturing, that they feel they're going to succeed. And that's what I don't criticize the school that much anymore. I think we need to nurture, we need to care, we need to be involved in our children's lives to give them the examples of what success can bring. And so I've changed somewhat in that idea that it's not actually the school system, it's the nurturing. You have to care. Everybody in the school system has to care. The parents have to care. The community has to care. The nation has to care. And I think that's the key to success out here. That's just my opinion.
Now, you worked in the administration here, what, 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Something like that, yeah. About 25 years ago.
Okay, so up to this point, what would you have envisioned that we would be at this point in time based upon what you knew back then?
I would think that given when I was here, that we'd be more successful in a lot of things we're doing. That we'd sit down and figure how to better utilize our resources that we have. And when I say resources, when I was here, we had to fight for every nickel and dime, and we mostly survived and created things out of grants, monies that we found, and we were successful. We didn't have room for failure, but that at that time, a lot of good people actually did the work, and they took the time, and they spent a lot of late hours. They spent a lot of worried times, following the timelines that were given, and they were successful. Not all the time, but they were. But we had no money, and so we had a very small, I guess, a very small space to fail. We had to be successful about 80% of the time, because if we weren't, then we wouldn't get the money, the grant or the contract, so people could work, or so people get help, or a building could be built. We've come all this way, and gaming was introduced, and I think, and it's probably not their fault, but there was a lot of bad planning, no thinking, and I think with that we've not done very well with some of the things that we've done with our money. I believe at this point in time that if we're not limited on funds, we should be in the way we've been spending our money. So that's the difference. I don't see the kind of effort being put out by people, but that could be a lot of things. No direction. They haven't been given the ability or the opportunity to do the stuff that they know what to do. There could be a lot of reasons for that. But in my opinion, again, is that I think we should have had a lot more to show for all the amounts of money that we have. We have, some rec centers in some of the districts, but we forgot to fund the maintenance. So some of them are being utilized, some of them are just idle, and it's a shame. So those are the that's an example, that I see. One of the things that's going to be successful, but it's going to take constant funding, is the nursing home for the people. We've always known, even when we didn't have any money, when we thought about the people that were there working alongside, came up with the idea, why don't we put in a nursing home? We couldn't afford to then. We didn't have that ability as far as monies. And back then we knew that for a nursing home it's going to be a constant drain, and it was never going to be less. Every year it was going to increase. There was going to be a lot more money to run the nursing, and which is true now. And with the present economics, with the government cutting back, we're going to have to find a way to sustain that if we want to keep the nursing home. But we have a college, we have a museum. They're all going to have to learn to find pockets of money to survive. So that's what I see. That I think that this better thought should have been given to all the things that we've done. More to show for the monies that have been there, that we may no longer have. So that's, again, just my observation. The difference from when I was involved until now.
Anything else?
Nothing.